Hello friends, check out my Cycle7. Oh yeah. Alright, for those of you that don't know, the Cycle7 is made by TKD. TKD is a collaboration between Vertex, the guys that did the Angle, and Equals, that are known for their C3 stabs and other stuff. The board is an FRL, coming in both wing key and wing keyless versions. This particular unit is anodized, but they also are offering TKD coating, which is supposed to be some sort of alternative to Matrix-esque coating. It is a simple 7-degree angle with dual internal brass weight and a large external steel weight. You can tell that mine is PVD. The standard variant is either sandblasted or brushed. It's gasket mounted with basically two different mount types and uses a quick release screwless assembly where there are actually no screws. And best of all, it comes in at $139, where my version with PVD would be about $147. So yeah, let's go. All right, before we get into the keyboard, I have very, very important notes, okay? And it's gonna make a lot of sense as we progress through the video. My channel has no sponsors. My keyboard review policy is that any keyboard sent to me needs to go back or be paid for in full by me or destroyed once something is sent to me for review. I am a collector of keyboards. I've been actively in the hobby since about 2016 and in the maker side of the hobby since about 2018. So generally in my videos, I will tell you how good a board is. In this case, I will tell you how I determine a board is good and walk you through it, and you can come to your own realizations. All right. Anyway, this video is from the customer point of view, so buyer point of view, user point of view. There will be a follow-up video from the maker point of view and discussing the implications of boards like this. All right. So before we get into it, packaging. It comes in a nondescript black box with a cheap little sleeve over it, which is fine. And in that sleeve comes in a hard case, which is fantastic at the price point. And gloves. Okay. And within there, your Cycle7 is inside, as well as your PCB, your standard aluminum plate, as well as your free stabs. So now let's talk about how I gauge a keyboard being good. Now the keyboard general triangle is aesthetics, sound, and feel. And the goal is to knock all three out of the park to be a really, really good keyboard. Okay, so between aesthetics, sound, and feel, in the middle is value. So let's start with value. What is the value proposition? All right, well, let's talk about what you get. You get a hard case. Okay, pretty cool. You get stabs for free that I have used in this build. You have a top accent with little PVD steel that actually matches my weight. Let's check that out. Over here. Right there. It's a little piece of little PVD. That's pretty cool from a value proposition. Okay. We've got internal thin brass weights, which we can just take a look at by taking it apart. There we go. Little brass weight. Another little brass weight. Nice. Okay. What else do we have? We have a large external stainless steel weight. There it is. It's not very thick, but okay. Yeah. It has two mounting styles. So the mounting style that I used was very reminiscent of tadpoles, and there is also the option for standard gasket strips. So it's little strips that go on the mounting point. So you have options. Has a daughter board. Check that out. That's pretty cool, especially for the price point. And decent, good quality PCB with flex cuts. In this case, they send you plugs with the flex cut, which we'll talk about later. And the last thing that I use to gauge value is just an overall weight of the board built. Now, when a friend of mine came over and tried this, because he is a maker vendor, I told him this would break you. And the second he picked it up and realized it's basically 2 kilos, he just lost his mind. So there's your value proposition. 2 kilogram board. Looks pretty good. It's offering lots of stuff. Okay. The kit from a value proposition is good. All right. Next step. Let's gauge the finishing quality and quality control. So what I like to do is look for ano color and reflectivity matching or mismatch. So does the top ano match the bottom ano in terms of color and in terms of reflectivity? So reflectivity mismatch is something that will happen even in TGR boards or super high-end boards, where the color, like the actual color, will be the same, but one will be more reflective than the other. And as such, they won't match super well. But the ano matching here is pretty darn good. Any weird colors you see, any darkening, is from my sweaty hands, which is why I am wearing gloves right now. That is a fingerprint. Okay, what else do I look for? I look for ano splashing, banding, and visible grain. So splashing is like when you see a little bit of anodization that is a different color than everywhere else. Please note that right there is a fingerprint that I was unable to wipe off. Hello. So no splashing, no weirdness. It's just some gunk on the bottom. Okay. Any grain? So grain is when you see the actual grains of the aluminum, in which case I don't. The ano is very smooth. And banding is where, you know, you'll get like stripes of color basically, and there is no banding. Okay. So from a finishing perspective, this looks pretty good. Okay, just as a sanity check, let's actually look at the inside, because the inside doesn't have to be as good as the outside. Let's have ourselves a quick look. All right, lots of fingerprints in here, but the anodization itself looks good. You'll notice that the desk is a lot darker than the room, and I tried to like match the color. So when I look at my screen, this is the same color as in person. All right, let's look closely here. Okay, let's look closely here. And we'll see how smooth the anodization is and how consistent the anodization is. Okay, so this is on a macro cam. You are very, very zoomed in. You can see tiny little grain. That's normal. That's from the sandblasting process. There will always be grain. That right there is a fingerprint. But very cool, very consistent. The PVD, however, is okay. All right, again, it's fine. For the price point, it's fine. You pay $10 for the PVD essentially, or $8. But it will easily develop micro scratches that are basically impossible to remove. And it's a pain in the ass to clean, but it sure is pretty. It sure is pretty. But pretty good. All right. Next, I tried to judge the the feature set. So what does the board actually do? Well, first you have the clasp assembly, which you've noticed I've taken apart the board multiple times. The clasp is very rugged, and I've tried smashing this on my desk really, really hard. The board does not come apart unless you are intentionally taking it apart. This is the best screwless implementation I have seen so far. And my only fear was the sound impact, and TLDR, there was no sound impact. It's fine. All right, what else do we have in terms of feature set? I mean, not much going on the top. Well, good layout support on the solder PCB. You can do wing key, wing keyless, split backspace, split right shift, all the good stuff. Okay. We've got the plugs on the PCB. So these are little pieces of rubber right there that cover up the flex cuts on the PCB. Also, apologies for like not cleaning this after soldering it, but all right, little rubber plugs. So the little rubber plugs show that okay, I wanted to put in a flex cut because I wanted a little bit of a more, soft typing experience, but I didn't want to also impact the acoustics, so I included this, an $139 keyboard. So it gives you the feel benefit without impacting sound. Additional feature set, 2 mounting options. The mounting option here is kind of like a grommet tadpole-esque thing. So let's pull that out real quick so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So it's this little piece right here. Yes, I know what it looks like. And basically that clips into the plate and sits on the case bottom. And then when the entire shell is assembled, it compresses it. So pretty good gasket mount implementation. I preferred this over the standard gasket tabs because it offers a little bit of plate movement, which I do like. All right. It comes with good stabs. I built this with the free stabs that came with it, and during the sound test, you'll hear how they all sound flawless. And last up in the feature set, okay, you've got good color options, good weight options. You've got a lot of choice. Now, their coding, which I have yet to see, hopefully will be decent. If their anodization is any indicator, it's going to be just fine. Okay, next up, sound and feel. So first of all, my preference is a softer, bouncier mount, which in this case, check that out. There's a decent amount of plate movement, which is good. That means it's going to be bouncy when I type on it. So with the Alu plates, the pseudo tadpoles work good. They allow for a good amount of plate movement, like up and down plate movement, as well as. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the H as you guys watch the left of the board. So, okay, I'm putting about a half pound of force. So like 250 grams. Here's a kilo of force. And it's not that much different. And here's me typing normally with my fingers. So there's some good movement on it. So you could get a harder typing experience by using the pads instead of the tadpoles. So depending on your preference. And if there are plastic plates for this, or you want to get a plastic plate for this, something like PP or Palm or PC, then the tabs would work a lot better. All right, so clearly the sound and feel were optimized for. There's plugs in the PCB, there's internal facing brass. And the reason why we have internal facing brass is because if you've ever typed on a TKL or any other board, you'll notice that the top row will always sound a lot more dead. Like your F row will sound completely different from the rest. So the solution to that is inside facing brass, as high up in the board as you can put it. And it does a really, really good job here. So one thing to note is there are gaps in the case when unbuilt. So my best way of explaining this is, can you see my finger under this? Yeah. So when unbuilt, you can kind of see through the board on the left and right side. But once it's assembled, you can no longer see through the board. Their solution to this was to put a piece of foam in there. Initially, my fear was, oh, it's going to sound terrible. No, sounds great. All right. Also, this comes with a lot of foam options. I managed to build it and have it sound amazing without any foam. And I'll let you be the judge of that. Mostly that is thanks to using nice thick PBT. These are Leak Brothers keycaps. They're 25 bucks. We'll talk about the build in a bit. All right, so that is how I would judge a board. And from my point of view, this board is amazing. So let's talk about the build. So board is $139, $147 for my PVD version. Stabs were free. The switches I have in here are Vertex V1s, which are these guys. Factory lubed, decent, Custom molds, not bad. They were 27 bucks for the pack. Now, I have spoken to ClickClack about potentially offering a discount on these switches when bought with the board, just to make it simpler. And this keycap set was 25 bucks. It's Leak Bros, and I'll throw in link in the description. It's on Taobao. If you don't know how to China, I'll also include a guide on how to China. I put about $1 of lube in here for the stabs, and $1 for like the solder. I lubed up the stabs with just 205 grade 0 and nothing else, just to keep it as simple as possible. So this entire build would be $192 plus shipping, which is insanely good. It is insanely good. So from here, I'll let you hear it. And then I'll give you a quick summary. All right, summary time. I'll keep it as simple as possible. The value of this keyboard is illegally good. This would be a good $350 keyboard, given the value proposition, given the materials, given the sound and feel, the optimization, given how much work has been put into this. This would be a great $350 keyboard. This would be an amazing, like mind-boggling $250 keyboard. This keyboard is $139. The aesthetics, the sound, the feel, they compete with boards in the $400 range. And this has implications to the maker side of the hobby, big time. And I'm going to cover that in a follow-up video, because this video is about, my point of view as a customer. As a customer, this is the most no-brainer buy of all time. Every single person needs to own a Cycle7. You don't like FRL? Buy a Cycle7. Maybe you like FRL. You're into enthusiast level boards like I am? Buy a Cycle7, because I'm going to be buying one. I will be paying to keep this, and I will be purchasing a group buy unit as well in wing keyless with the special coating. If you are a maker and you have hopes of designing a keyboard or running a keyboard group buy a Cycle7. Know what you're up against, because oh boy. Honestly, I look forward to a lot more projects from TKD. This board should not be underestimated. This is the best value board ever made. Period. This compared to Gion, took Gion out back, and anyway, we'll talk about the implications in the next video. Tune in then. I love you. Bye. Where's Crew? Well, I guess I'll give you the ball and latch review. These are pretty nice balls. I do like the balls. Okay, honestly, best balls I have ever seen on a case assembly. Look at that, those balls. Those are nice balls. The latch, not bad, not bad, but I do like the balls. You can just get up in there. Oh, look at those balls. Look at those balls. Oh, oh, that's so good. Oh, just put in the balls.